Okay, so in this assessment we're going to be needing to do quantitative analysis called a titration. And for that we're going to need a whole lot of new gear that we might not have met. A burette, we've got a little funnel, we've got our standard solution that we made, we've got a pipette or pipette filler, we've got our solution that we're going to try and work out exactly what its concentration is. We know it's about 0.1, but we're going to try and find out exactly what it is. We're going to use some small conical flasks for this one, so they fit quite nicely under here when we do the experiment. And of course we're going to need our distilled water. So in this video I'm only going to show you how to rinse everything and then set it up. It's not going to be actually doing the titration, that will be another video or tutorial. So in my conical flasks I'm going to end up with this hydrochloric acid. Now because I've had to take it out of a stock bottle, I've rinsed this beaker with the hydrochloric acid, tipped out what I've rinsed, then filled it up. So I can collect things from here and I won't change the concentration of it at all. Because it's not been rinsed with water, which would dilute it, it's only been rinsed with the actual solution. I'm going to have to pipette 20 mils, because it's a 20 ml pipette, from here into these. Now, if I was to rinse these with hydrochloric acid, that would add hydrochloric acid particles to it, so change the amount. And I'm not allowed to do that. So instead, I rinse these out with distilled water. Now, there'll be water droplets left behind, that's okay, because that won't change the amount of hydrochloric acid in there. Okay? And the reason I set up 3 is basically for speed. It's to go faster when I do my experiment. It's also so I can compare to make sure that the colour that I get at the end of the experiment is the same every time. Okay, that I'm being consistent with my colour change. Now, I hope you remember when we made dilutions, we had to rinse the pipette with the solution before we used it. That's always true. So what I'm going to do first is rinse out my pipette with some of the hydrochloric acid. You notice I keep the pipette filler on it when I transfer it over the sink, so I don't drip anything back in and contaminate it. And then I use my thumb, roll it back, and clean the bulb, and keep going too far on purpose, and then run it out. And I expect a little bit to be left in the end, and that's okay. So now I'm set up ready to transfer 20 mils of my hydrochloric acid into each of these, and that's called an aliquot. So when you hear the word aliquot being said, that's basically what it is. I will also be adding, but I haven't brought it over with me, 5 drops of indicator, in this case methyl orange, into each of these as well. That's so I can see a colour change when the experiment finishes. Any more than 5 drops, and actually it can affect the experiment, so we try not to do more than 5 drops. Enough to see a colour change, not so much to affect the result. So that's how we set up that side of it. 20 mils into each of these, and they've been rinsed out. This was rinsed with the solution, these were rinsed with distilled water, and this was rinsed with the solution. Then for our burette, which is going to go in our clamp stand, we have got a funnel and a burette that both need to be rinsed so that the concentration of what's in here stays the same. The concentration of this is absolutely vital. So if I put water droplets in here, I'm going to change that. So instead of rinsing it with water, I close my tap and put my funnel on, because I'm going to rinse the funnel at the same time. Close the tap, which means that it's perpendicular to the burette, and I take a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, because we don't want to waste this stuff. I just lift the funnel a little bit so I don't have the ear lock, and I put a little bit in here, because I'm short I don't do it over the sink, I do it over the floor. Tall people get an advantage over me. And you'll see I'm not even going up to that first mark of 50. I'm only doing just a little bit. It's only a rinse. These have been cleaned. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over my sink now and run that out through the funnel to finish rinsing the funnel, because I don't want the funnel to change this. And then when I feel the funnel's done, I turn that off. Leave it upside down and drip dry. And then what I'm going to do is with the last of it, I'm going to hold it horizontal, open the tap so it's not got an airlock, and roll this as I run it out the other end. I've now rinsed this with what I'm going to put in it, close the tap again. This is now ready to use for an experiment as well, so that will go into the clamp stand. And the last thing I want to do in this video is say, look where the 50mm mark is, clamp below that because you need to be able to see every single value. Then, once you can see that, and it doesn't matter if it's not perfectly level because we're looking at a difference of volume, then see, can I fit my flasks under there? No, I can't. So that's when we move this up so that, yeah, good, that works. Okay. We're then going to put this back in, fill it up, but there may be a little air bubble here. So we're going to have to get another beaker or funnel to run a little bit of it out to put the solution into the tip as well. So that's the last setup part. I'm going to use one of these flasks actually, even though I shouldn't. But we fill it up, and we don't have to get it exactly to the 0 mark. In fact, I normally go beyond the 0 because then I'm going to run a little bit of it out at the bottom. And I get a beaker or a flask that I'm going to have to re-clean, and I run it out until there's no air bubbles and turn it off, and that should happen real fast. Tip that out, distilled water. I don't want to get this one confused with the ones I've got set up for the experiment, so I'm just going to put that over here as well. And that is how we set that up, and somehow, by miracle, I've landed on the 0.0 mark. But it doesn't have to be. Bottom of the meniscus, yeah, somehow got it. But you'll find it'll be somewhere between 0 and 2 mils. That's fine. Just read up, you'll be reading off whatever it is. But we'll get to that in the next video. Thank you.